Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another broadcast of the Weekly with me, Neff. Please subscribe to the channel first and foremost. Share this video with some friends, family, and colleagues. Helps out a lot. Also, like this video and ring the bell for notifications. Let's talk a little bit about Superman. Going to keep it as spoiler-free as possible, and we're going to make this brisk. So, saw Superman tonight. Very good film overall. I'll tell you the score a little later in this review, but overall, you know, as I do my reviews, obviously I base this off 5 pillars of cinema. I think I've gone through the 5 pillars. If I haven't, right, I usually go through, so the score is one thing, right? And then I add tone with that as well, because the score can dictate the tone and vice versa. So let's say score and tone is one pillar, right? We have the cinematography, right? We have how the film is written. We have how the acting is in the film, and then pacing of the film, right? Is everything timed perfectly? Is it smooth? Are there dead spots that slow the film down in a negative way, right? So those are my 5 pillars there. I guess if you want to split them all up, it's like 6 pillars of grading a film. And so this film is pretty solid overall. Like I said before, I'm going to give you my score a little later, but if you're talking about a hard reboot for the DCU, I think this is a good start. David Corenswet kills it as Superman, Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane, Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, right, part of the Lantern Corps. You have Hawkgirl and Isabella Merced, and Mr. Terrific in Adai Gathaji. Hopefully I did not butcher his name. And to be honest, I'm going to come out and be upfront about this. I think Mr. Terrific is the best part of the film, to be quite honest. I believe the second act, third act was pretty solid overall. I guess you could argue second, third act being the best overall. But when Mr. Terrific got his opportunity as a solo act in this film, he definitely shined. And like I said, to me, overall, there's a lot of characters, a lot going on. I will not say it's convoluted because it is well balanced and it's threaded in a very solid way, to be honest. James Gunn figured out a way to balance this film out well, even though there is plenty of characters to go around. I never felt like the film was over bloated, right? And I never felt like the film was undercooked for other characters. I feel like the balance was perfect with it. But yes, Mr. Terrific, in my opinion, the best part of the film overall. Powers, the acting, the way he approaches the conflicts that he has to take care of, right? His interactions with Superman himself, right? Clark Kent, Kal-El, his interactions even with Justice Gang, just very good overall. And it was him and Lois Lane that really had their time to shine in that second act. Going into the third act, I really did like that they incorporated her more, not just being somebody that's in a relationship with Kal-El's character, but also someone that could get in on the action too without making it feel overbearing. It made a lot of sense. I thought Rachel Brosnahan did a great job as Lois Lane, very believable. One thing I do have to credit the film for as well is all of the acting was believable, even from the Kent family. You know, the little time that they were on screen, and it wasn't so much of a little time, but the time that they were on, it was very impactful. Everybody was in this film for a reason, whether they had dialogue or didn't have dialogue. There's multiple people that are in this film that get a chance to speak and have lines, and it all makes sense in the context of moving the film forward. Now, the nitpick that I do have was there was some dialogue between Kal-El, Superman, Clark Kent, and Lois Lane towards the first act of the film. In the beginning, I thought that ran a little long. I don't really feel that it pushed the film forward that much. And so that's one nitpick that I had regarding the film overall. To switch lanes here real quick, I would have also liked to know a little bit more about how Lex Luthor captured Metamorpho. That would have been interesting as well, but I understand you're trying to pack a lot in that 2 hours and 9 minutes there. And Metamorpho was played by Anthony Carrigan. We've talked about his part in this film. He did a great job on that as well. There are some cameos in there. I don't want to spoil that for anybody that hasn't seen the film yet, but I thought they were cameos that were odes to other films that James Gunn has worked on, and also cameos that are going to lead you into the next chapter of DC Studios. And so I thought those were important as well, and they were well placed. They didn't take away from the other people that are in the core of this film. They just added to it. So I thought that was cleverly done. Nicholas Hoult killed it as Lex Luthor, as I referenced before. And before this film came out, I heard a lot of good things about Nicholas Hoult's portrayal of Lex Luthor overall. I think he's done a great job on screen portraying the character. A lot of dimensions to the character as well. And once again, this is not an origin film. These are characters that have been around in this universe. So Lex Luthor has Luthor Corp. He has people that work for him, civilian people, right? He has a whole network of people that help him do what he needs to do, testing Superman every chance he gets, obviously envious of Superman overall down at his core, but you get to see a lot of dimensions of the character. Nicholas Hoult does a good job of displaying that as an actor. And what can I say? Overall, David Corenswet, very believable as Superman, Clark Kent, Kal-El. I think he embodies Superman overall. Obviously, James Gunn wrote it a certain way. He's making it more of a modern adaptation, more of a grounded adaptation. While this is a comic book movie, I do have to say that the only thing that stops this from being a comic is the fact that it's live action and doesn't have thought bubbles or speech bubbles. This is a live action comic book, and I think probably one of the better adaptations of the comic book in live action. I would say that more than likely, if you look at everything that went into this film overall, this is arguably the best Superman film ever made. I am going to be watching Superman 2 very soon. I know that is the golden standard. And as I said, I watched Superman 1978 this past week. Solid film. The time period also is hard for it to actually compete with films nowadays only because of the technological setbacks, but overall still a solid film. And I think Christopher Reeve is the epitome of Superman in general. But I do think where we're going with David Corenswet is definitely a good position to be in. Along with Lex Luthor, you have Ultraman, right? And there's a twist there that I'm not going to go into. And then also to accompany him in tandem is Maria Faria, who plays Angela Spica, and she is the engineer, right? This character is very interesting. Possibly was human before, but is now turned into something else to the help of Lex Luthor, and really has a resentment towards Superman. Her sole motive is to eradicate Superman for her own reasons and Lex Luthor's as well. So they all work together, and that's very interesting to bring that character into the fold as well. She slips in perfectly there. The visuals for this film are on point. The CGI, definitely high quality. Probably some of the best CG work I've seen in a long time with a film that's heavy CG. Obviously, I do believe that James Gunn implemented a lot of practical as well with the CG. And I can see where James Gunn took a lot of the influence that he had in Guardians of the Galaxy and brought it into this film, in this universe. I think it works well. I had some concerns about Krypto watching the teaser, right? And he is in the film quite a bit. Not to the point where he's annoying, though. Krypto does have a reason to be in the film, and you also see that with another cameo that happens towards the end, but I thought Krypto did his part. He was there when he needed to be. He helped out Kal-El when he needed help. Also, he was there for some comedic relief. Same as Nathan Fillion and Guy Gardner, really the guy with the chip on his shoulder that is part of the Lantern Corps. He added a different spin to the movie as well. I really did like his attitude, and there were some really cool scenes that he was in visually, and just some of the things that he said and how he carried himself throughout the film. Isabella Merced, a little smaller as Hawkgirl, but I thought she did a great job as well, really complimenting Mr. Terrific and Guy Gardner as Green Lantern there. There's a lot of other people that were in this film that did a great job on screen. The list is heavy, but as I said, overall put together well and not overly bloated or convoluted. I'm giving Superman an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10, solid film overall. Crept up too from a 6.5, so pretty impressive, but I think the second and third act were just stellar. And I also think if you're savvy in Superman, Superman comics, animated Superman, Justice League Unlimited, anything relevant towards Superman, especially Christopher Reeve's Superman, I don't think this is going to divide fans, and I don't think it's going to be that polarizing. At first I thought it would be, but like I said, there's a certain way that Superman needs to be presented, and I think this does what it needs to do. There are comedic moments, there are serious moments, right? It's not too jokey, it's not goofy at all, to be quite honest. Like I said, this is a live action comic book, and I think overall it has been done well. I think this is a good start for the DCU. I think James Gunn has done a decent job overall. It's not woke as some of the liars say on YouTube. I know a lot of people are saying that, saying it's super political. There's political elements within the film, but they're part of the narrative. There's not a message being told to anybody or saying you should think this way or you should think that way. It's part of the film, so it makes sense, right? Superman is there to actually stop conflict. And so that's put together well, and I think there's just something for everybody in this film. If you don't like one part, you'll like another. If you don't like that, then you'll like another. I don't think anybody's going to see this film and say, oh, this is just bad, this is not watchable. I don't believe that. I like the tone of it. To me, the tone is actually Superman's tone. Superman's not supposed to have the tone of a Batman film or Batman light. It's supposed to be very, I guess, bright, but also optimistic as well. And there's supposed to be moments of tension and intensity, and I feel like this film definitely encompasses that. So I definitely think that anybody that's listening to this review should definitely like this video, because one, I'm only here to tell you the truth. This is my objective opinion on the film watching it. This is a film that 8-9 months ago I was like, I don't know if I'm even going to watch this. I'm not a big Superman fan, more of a Batman fan overall. And so I think overall, as time has passed up, we've gotten information regarding this film. We've seen the promo around this film. Mind you, I have not seen any other trailer other than the teaser. I've reported on this film, but I've been trying to skip as many teasers as possible. It's been tough to do it because the promo has been over the top, but only saw the teaser. And just watching the teaser and then going straight to this film, I thought the film was a fun ride, and I think people will enjoy this film overall. So 2 thumbs up, go watch Superman. 8 out of 10. I'm telling you that. That's word from Neff. We don't have any agendas here. I'm just being honest about what I saw in film, and I want to hear what everybody else thinks about this. Let's see what they do, okay? So next up we have Peacemaker 2, right? Cool cameo there. Not going to spoil anything. Then we have Lanterns, and then we have Supergirl. Obviously, we talked about Batman being overarching over all this because Batman, I'd say, is the most popular character in DC. I think that's just the truth there. And so let's see what happens after Superman. Let's see what this box office hits at. Let's see what the general discussion is, because I think there's going to be a lot of interesting things to come from DC overall. And I'm really interested to see all these other characters. They're not shoehorned in. They're there for a reason. They all have their parts. And I think it's one of those movies where if you have a character have their piece in the film, you want to know more about that character because the character is being portrayed in an interesting way. Mr. Terrific, keep an eye on that guy. I definitely want to see more of that character in this universe. And let's see how they expound on everything. Even Lois Lane's arc, I want to see how they expound on that. It's going to be very interesting stuff coming up, ladies and gents. I'm going to be having another discussion, a roundtable about Superman in about a week's time with a couple colleagues of mine. We're all going to discuss this in depth. Probably going to be an hour-long conversation, and we'll go in deeper on this film. Probably we'll have some spoilers in that disclaimer, but I wanted to get my review out for you guys so you could just hear my thoughts on it first, and then we'll go on from there. So ladies and gents, please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, share this video with some friends, family, and colleagues. Comment down below if you saw Superman this weekend. I want to know your thoughts on it as well. Also, let me know what you think is going to happen as far as the future of DC Studios, and what do you think about James Gunn being the creative head there along with Peter Safran doing the business. It's going to be very interesting overall. Look out for that conversation next week as well. Definitely going to be very cool stuff. A deep dive on this film. Going to be some cool stuff, like I said. So ladies and gents, be safe. It's Neff signing off, and we'll chat soon.